one of the questions that came in is how important are online reviews and how can we encourage current families to uh, write a positive review? I mean, obviously you don't want to encourage them to write not positive review, but Heather, what are your thoughts on online reviews and how to get them?
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those things that comes up all the time with all my Marcom colleagues, no matter what school I'm at. Reviews are like so important, but they kind of become like the bane of our existence and making sure that we're getting people to keep them updated. And you really have to hold people's hands through it because they're not always that easy to do, that sometimes they make it a little complicated. So I really tried to find a way to operationalize it. And by that, I mean, set up a system where there's an easy way to do it at the same time with like the same group of people every year. And by the same group of people, I mean like our graduating eighth grade families. If this is their last child that's graduating, we pull a list of those names, we email them. We're probably going to be doing it in about 2 or 3 weeks because they're coming into the home stretch now. They're all feeling nostalgic. They just left their child's eighth grade speech, like their culminating experiences. The tears are flowing. They're all happy. Johnny's going off to boarding school. And so it's a great time to hit them up every year with an email saying, hey, we're so sad your family's leaving our school. We'd really love for you to share your experience. Here's 3 websites where we welcome or really would appreciate you to leave a review. And then the hardest part for me is I've had to write out pretty detailed directions for grade schools, niche, private school, because they're all a little different. Some you have to have an account, some you don't. So I've really built like a step-by-step how-to for the parents. But now that I've built it, it's much easier going forward every year to just do, okay, the next crop of graduating families, we're going to do them again. And it's an easy way to keep a natural flow coming in. I have found that to be more effective than using parent ambassadors, like staggering, okay, these 10 parent ambassadors are going to do great schools while these 10, and then rotating them throughout the year. I find very stressful to manage that. So I like doing it this way instead. I also haven't done this at Peck, but I have other colleagues who recommend anytime you have new board members coming in, that's a great way for them in their role as a board member to serve the school, and it doesn't cost them any money. So that's something that I am looking to try as well, asking board members if they would leave reviews. Because unless your board members have no affiliation with your school, most of ours are parents or past parents. So it would make sense to ask them.
Yeah, it's it's like we're 5 minutes into this. I'm gonna use it's more important than ever, but it really is for a lot of very technical reasons as well. So doing everything that Heather said, has added importance. For one, and we know this when we go to Amazon, you've got Amazon Choice, you've got Top Seller, and you've got other ones in there. And frankly, when I look at how many reviews, but also if it's a 4.3 out of 5 and it has 20,000 reviews and another one has 12 reviews and a 5.0, I'm probably going to go with the one with the lower ranking just because it has more in there. And sometimes it's didn't ship on time. Well, I mean, that doesn't mean that the product is bad. So when you look at schools and you look at that map and you've got one that has 100, another one that has 5, and another one that has 1, that is currency right there, that you want to have more reviews, good or bad. Obviously, you want those good reviews. The other big piece of it is how that affects chatbot. Shout out to Missy. She coined AIRO, Arrow, which is AI results optimization. Hasn't picked up yet. Now I think generative. I can never say that word. Engine optimization, but essentially U.com, ChatGPT, Pi AI, Gemini, and the 3 other ones that came out just as I've been talking right now. That's how people are going to search. I don't going through this whole list. That's so 2023. I want to ask the chatbot, what are the 5 best schools, 5 best independent schools in fill in the blank with your city? It's going to give you 5, usually bulleted ones, but certainly the first bulleted one in your mind, you're going to say that's number 1. But it's only going to give you 5 as opposed to a whole list. So that really kind of bottlenecks things. One of the pieces that is heavily used in that are the reviews and are the words that are used in the reviews. So if you type for top STEM school in Chicago, Illinois, it's going to within milliseconds say how, what schools in their reviews have STEM, and how many is going to be a part of that eventual list that, pops up in just a few seconds. So again, getting those reviews and, encouraging families to, if you want to be the STEM school, if you want to be the IB school, encourage them to say, hey, when you write this review, if you can, talk about STEM, we know you love STEM, specifically talk about the STEM program as opposed to the school's great, the teachers are wonderful, my child's very happy. Being very specific with specific words and terms that you want to rank for, that's important to have in those reviews.
Right. And for all of those who are present, feel free to throw other questions into the chat as we progress through. Heather and Trevor, I think the next question that we're going to tackle is, how does the school plan for overflow? Should they purposefully not enroll knowing that there might not be space moving into next year?
That is a fantastic question. How do you plan for overflow? I mean, the way airlines do it, you're gonna, be a viral video and some family gets kicked off the plane because they've sold that seat 2 or 3 times. And I'll tell you, this happened to me, and I hope we're all friends. We're kind of in the inner circle here. This happened to me for one grade. I was so excited, like we have a wait list for this grade, and reason why we had a wait list, and we told all the current families, we have more students to accept than seats for this grade. Please get in your enrollment contracts. And we had a couple families who, wanted to throw their weight around and say, well, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. We want to make sure that this happens, or we get this teacher. And we accepted 6 students. 4 of them said, yep, we're coming, which left 2 spots, which left us, we were full at that point. We didn't accept the other 2, but that was full at that point. So those families that finally decided to come back put it 2 over. And I got in trouble, of course, because I overflowed the grade. So how you prepare for that? I think the first thing is making sure that current families know, and you may say, well, that happens, our parents know they need to get their contracts in at this exact time. For smaller schools, for some of you that, are under enrolled in all or most of your grades, this is kind of a dream, and it was a dream for me, but making sure that families know that there is the potential for overflow. So please get your contracts in on time. If you have any issues with not wanting to get it in on time, you need to address them by a certain date. I think that's important. Call them, text them, everything. You don't want that current family saying, I know that was the date that you needed them in, but I didn't know that if we didn't get it in by that date, we may not have a spot. Obviously, that's going to create some upheaval. And the other piece of it too is just really kind of looking ahead and being, from a financial standpoint, if you have the space, can we add a 3rd section? Can we add a 4th class to this grade? If so, we're going to have 4 teachers, and the classes may go from 18 to like 15 students, which parents are going to like. Obviously, there's a financial burden for that. But do you see the ability to be able to fill those grades in the future, looking at demographics, looking at, the families that are rising up into that grade, the likelihood that they stay? If they have a sibling who's going to graduate 8th grade next year, are they likely to pull their younger one who's in rising 4th grade after that year, and now, or I guess the year below, counting that student out? You want to make sure that you are having real serious conversations with yourself. What's the likelihood that the grade levels below will be consistent? And here's the data that says we can add to that. So hiring a 4th, 3rd grade teacher, for example, you're not just going to have to say, okay, what do we do with this person next year, because there's just not enough. So taking that question a little bit, off to the side a little bit, those are the things that need to be in place first and have a good, strong prediction. and then kind of deal with the overflow question at that point. But there's never anything wrong with a wait list.
I would echo that. I mean, I'm not the admissions director here, but I think my team at Peck does a phenomenal job managing the wait list, especially in those attrition-based grade levels where sometimes we've got 20 applicants for one seat. Like you said, it's a dream. I did not have that when I was an admissions director at a very small, struggling school. So echo what Trevor said, manage that wait list.
What else do we
All
have?
right, let's see. So the next one we're going to move on to is we need to thread the needle of increasing the top of our funnel and the desire for the right students.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, sure is. So I'll repeat it once. So we need to thread the needle of increasing the top of our funnel and the desire for the right students.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trevor, without knowing the specifics of like what are those right students, because we could definitely build a profile and that would help us generate some ideas. You know, I think top of the funnel is, for me, I find one of the most fun parts to be dealing with because there's so many options. And for me, that's all about building brand awareness or introducing people to the brand. And one of the things I started when I came to Peck 6 years ago was this idea of using lead generators, whether that's hosting a web like this, like a webinar where people sign up, or an ebook or a white paper, or an on-campus event. I know a lot of schools are really successful with in-person events open to the public, using those as lead generators. But that's a great way. In it, you can't be super salesy about it. It has to be very helpful to the person. You have to be solving a problem for them or providing some kind of information that they need in a very low sales, low pressure sort of way, because you're just saying hello to each other. You're just shaking hands. Like, it's not going any further than that right away. If you think it's going to immediately turn into 100 applications, you're going into it with the wrong mindset. This is a long-term strategy of building a relationship with a potential customer, sometimes years in advance. I have an ebook we did my very first year here in 2018 that I'm still getting applicants for today who downloaded that ebook 5 years ago. Like, that's exactly what's supposed to happen. And that takes a little bit, I think, for people to wrap their minds around. Like, it's not an instant solve. I also think there are some non-lead generation options, depending on, again, exactly the profile you're looking at. I think a good blog strategy and really good social media content is a great way to get more exposure, cast a wider net, because that feeds word of mouth, which we know is all our number one refer across the board, no matter what we do. But we need to provide the tools for our current families who hopefully are satisfied to spread that good word of mouth. And if they can share content, if they can say, hey, my kid's school's hosting this, parent speaker that's open to the public. You want to have a mom's night out and like we all go together, go out to dinner and go to Peck for this great parent speaker about anxiety in children, like woohoo. But you need to have effective data tracking and lead nurturing built in. I'm a really big advocate for schools adopting some kind of customer relationship management software where you can really be intentional about how you're nurturing these really soft leads, sometimes over the course of a couple of years. Like, I know it's a huge investment for people time-wise, but I do think it is effective, and the data that I have at Peck shows that it's been for us. So I've been a huge advocate for that. If you're going to do any kind of lead generation strategies, you have to follow it through with lead nurturing and good data tracking, or you won't know what's effective and what's not.
You just, everything I would have said, check, she said, check, check, check. I think I like the way this question is worded, thread the needle, because it really is threading a needle. You want more at the top of the funnel, but you want more right fit students. So it's just pounding that message year after year after year that these are the qualities of the school. And then, the hope is that there's enough right fit families to come your direction. And then you can take it to the next level, which we talk a lot about at Truth Tree. And that's best fit. And I say families, but it really is the family. It's best fit student from best fit family. And what is that profile? What do they want the most? What are their top 3 wants? That is your message. Obviously they want it and they're coming to you because they're getting it. So what are those 3 things? that is your messaging for the foreseeable future. So you're getting more of those. But, you know, the more sort of pinpoint that is, the smaller the top of the funnel will be. But as a former admission director, I'd rather have 50 incredible candidates than 200, you know, meh, you know, really great to meh, but more on the, you know, the ghost side where I'm doing a lot of work to communicate with them. And frankly, they're just deleting the email or just passing it by or just ignoring us because it was a sort of a whim that they came in our direction anyway.
Dana threw a question in the chat as a follow-up to this one. But what is a good lead generation software that you would recommend?
I am a HubSpot user. I have been for 6 years, and I think while it's not a school product, there's definitely ways to tailor it to a school's needs. We have like a little support group informally of some of us Marcom directors that all use it together. But I know for Final Site clients, I'm actually becoming one in a few months, so we're excited about that. I know they have some workflow lead gen capabilities built into their software now as well. I can't really vouch for it yet because I haven't used it, but I think if you're just starting out, I think that would be a sufficient tool. And then as you get more comfortable, you may explore something more sophisticated. I mean, I don't know any schools, you know, in our K-12 space using like a Salesforce. That's more of a higher ed thing, but you absolutely could. I've looked into it. I've used a few other companies as well, but I've found HubSpot to be fairly user-friendly, fairly affordable. Negotiate everything is my secret tip for the webinar. Don't take any of the prices at face value. And I'm happy to help, you know, talk offline with anyone who'd be interested in talking about what that looks like to set something like that up. Because it is a big undertaking, but I promise you, once you do the upfront investment of time of setting everything up, it pays so much dividend after that. It's unbelievable.
Well, here's my sort of 3 a.m. infomercial question that's sort of like just teed up right for you. Heather, that downloaded book from 5 years ago that eventually became an application, how do you know that they were downloaded your book 5 years ago and are now an applicant?
Because of HubSpot. The only way I know is because of HubSpot. So when we launched it, we built a landing page that people would click on an ad or social media posts, however we were promoting it, because we're not doing any marketing behind it whatsoever anymore. Like, it's very quiet now. But initially, we did probably about a 9-month push for it. And people would go to this landing page, they'd fill out the form, they download the ebook. And now I have a record for this person in HubSpot. And so now when the application has come in, I go through, I'm a little maybe too involved as a marketing director, but I look at every applicant and I look at their journey and I scroll all the way back through in HubSpot to see how that person was created. Did they come in through a paid search campaign? Did they come in through a lead gen form? Did they come in through our admissions office? Are they like a traditional inquiry? And then I can see every interaction with the brand that they've had. I can see how many minutes they've spent on our website and what pages they've visited, which my admissions department loves that intel. When they have a family coming in for their tour and their like parent visit, they check our HubSpot account for every family that's coming in so they can see, ooh, Heather Birchfield's coming for a tour, you know, for her 7-year-old daughter. She spent a lot of time on the arts pages. Like I have a feeling that's probably important to them. I'll make sure to flag that to make sure that we talk about that when they come, make sure we really play that up on the tour. It's good intel. It's like secret, you know, like you've got a private detective researching these families, but really you're just watching their behavior. So through the lead gen, after they download the ebook, they get a series of emails as well to keep the brand kind of top of mind. I can see every email they opened, if they clicked on it, how they engaged with it. And now I can see 5 years worth of history of engagement with our brand, which I find incredibly helpful. It's like a psychological case study too, in trying to observe people's behavior.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I only recently adopted a growing love for HubSpot. I was not anti-HubSpot in the past, but you know, when GA4 was introduced and they were like, here's the new things with the new model, I was like, why do you need to spend all that money? GA4 is going to be able to track all of these things and the user journey and what happens when they click here and being able to. And that just, you know, I couldn't even tell you how much time our team has spent trying to figure that out and how to do that. And, you know, it's not that we've given up, but we've said, hey, HubSpot can do these things. And obviously you go from Google, which is free, to not free. But I really haven't seen too much in HubSpot that doesn't check most, if not more, of the boxes to get this stuff done. So this is not sponsored by HubSpot, but again, Heather, you're a big believer, and I'm becoming one.
I think it could be someone on my team's full-time job just to manage it, because I actually think we've only scratched the surface with what it's capable of doing for us. It's just a matter of bandwidth. So we've sort of prioritized like where we invest our time and resources in using it. But I think there's probably so much more we could even be doing with it.
What else we got, Missy?
All right. So our next question is, Facebook seems to be taking a turn towards suggested content and or spam, and people will leave the platform because of it. So where should my ad spend go next or in place of?
It's not going anywhere. It is down in use, but it's still at or near the top for most schools' parent population. I would lean more into Instagram these days for visibility. But you know, I kind of go back to what I've said a lot, and I see a lot of schools that spend a lot of money on Facebook and expect um, actionable results. That, you know, yes, you're going to have families that find you on Facebook, but people don't go to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn and, you know, cross their fingers. I really hope to see an ad for a school because I'm going to send my child there. But specific to this question for Facebook, I continue to advertise on Facebook, but as you create the ads, and Facebook and link, or not Facebook, well, LinkedIn too, but Facebook and Google, they love kind of hiding things for you to uncheck that will save you some money. And I think for schools and your brand and the expense, you're not a $35 widget that if it breaks, I can get a new one tomorrow and get it delivered within 2 days. You know, your brand and the sanctity really of your brand is really important. And I've posted a couple things, and I've actually had a conversation with a couple people, including Heather, where I've seen school, because I like to, when Facebook, like, do you like this ad? Do you want to see more? And I'm like, yes, I do want to see more of school ads because I want to see what they're doing. I want to see, you know, how we can incorporate that into the work that we do. And yes, I want to see more of, like, you know, do you want to see, like, I don't want to see this stuff. I just want to see school stuff and what my friends are up to. But I saw an instance where I'm a big hockey fan. So it was a Facebook page dedicated to showing videos of hockey fights. Well, right in the middle of between the actual post itself and the comments that people could make, right in between that was an ad for a school. And it literally looks like, to even the trained eye, that they are sponsoring this page or this particular video within the page. So as you're creating social media ads, make sure that you know exactly where those ads are going to show. Is it going to show in the reels? Is it going to show in, you know, the little marketplace sideboard? Is it going to be a sponsored piece if somebody's searching for, I mean, they go to Facebook Marketplace and maybe they're searching for something inappropriate, but they are a target within your brand. You don't always see the sponsored sign, so they're looking for something inappropriate. All of a sudden, they see your school's content there. They're going to associate that content with it. So I would be very, very careful as to where your stuff it shows if you're with sponsored pieces.
And the only thing I would add, because I let Truth Tree handle all my social media advertising so they can uncheck all the boxes. But I do think we have seen really great success in boosting our existing content that has high engagement already, because we know that there's social proof, there's some validity there, like parents are liking it, engaging with it, commenting on it. It's this, you know, really compelling piece of content we've produced. So we'll partner, you know, I call up Sam and I say, hey, let's throw some money behind that. Let's get some more eyeballs on it. And I've seen, I think, more traction from doing that than doing more of the like cold advertising. Cause I just feel like the quality of the leads that are going to come through it have been they've been better fits. They've been more inclined to actually be looking at a school. Because it just seems a little bit more of a serious connection, like they're actually like engaging with the brand. So I recommend doing that. I also think it's a really low cost way to spend some ad dollars. It's not super expensive to do that a couple times a year.
Yeah, I just went to your Facebook page right here, and I think just to add one little piece to that is when you boost the stuff, it doesn't have to be about an event that's happening, um, or an award, which is always good, but show content of kids doing stuff that they don't do at like other schools. Like, oh my gosh, my kids don't do that at my school. That whether you're not on Facebook necessarily looking for schools, but when you see that, you're like, that's really interesting. Like my kid would love something like that. Let me explore that a little bit more. And when they go down to the comments and they say like, wow, parents love this. They say it's such a great program. There's going to be even more want for it. And that's just if it's a first point of contact. But if it's the third, if they're actively searching for schools and this is like the fourth or fifth thing that they've seen, it just builds the value for your school and for them to formally inquire or say, yeah, it's really time to apply. We really need to put this school at the top of our list.
I'm actually really glad you said that, because we also got a question about the mix of social media content that people should be mindful of, like what's the right mix. And when you and I were chatting about it, I really feel like the data that we have at Peck, because we use a social media like management tool, so we're really watching the numbers. Um, Entertain people. That's what social media is for. Think about your own. Okay, I'll speak about myself. I want to see good food and I want to see cats. That's all I want to see. But I want to see entertaining cats. Social media is all about having some fun, laughing, seeing something heartwarming or endearing. Like Trevor said, the post about you winning an award or something more dry and straightforward, like, meh, okay. Make a fun video. We did one, we boosted. It was like teacher appreciation. It was funny clips of like our students talking about our teachers. And some of it was funny. Like they were like, oh, they let us have like iPads whenever we want. We're like, haha, funny. Um, like a snow day, like we called a snow day, we did one of those like produce snow day videos. Like find things that show your school's personality, show them something maybe that they can't see on the website. Like we're going behind the curtain a little bit, like this is the Wizard in Oz. To me, that's what good social is. It shows your personality and it lets people have that little window into what life at your school is really like. And so when you're thinking about your mix of content, I wouldn't pay so much attention to photo, video, graphics. I think whatever helps you entertain people, do it. Like we did this fun thing for Valentine's Day where we made like fake Valentine cards and there were cutouts of like our teachers and funny, like the little sweethearts with the sayings, like we made Peck ones. I mean, it was like stupid and it was like a throwaway, but it was fun. And people were commenting like, ah, ha, ha, that's funny, stuff like that. We're a K-8 school. We want to have some fun. So I think lean into, someone also asked, I think, about student engagement. At a K-8 school, getting student engagement has been a challenge because they're young. But I think the more you can elevate student voices and student produced content, the better. And I've had to really come to terms with it might not look as good as if we did it, but that's okay. We'll get permission for a fifth grader to document their day and do a student day in the life on Insta. And it's like, all right, it's a little grittier than if we would have done it, but it's real. And I think parents especially can tell if something's overly produced and they want to see authentic content. And so we're utilizing our students a lot more in that way. Because it's the truth. It's the true story. This is their true lived experience. We can't sugarcoat it if they do it.
Just to pick, because I'm seeing the question that's in the chat too, and the student engagement, current student engagement to create content, awesome. And I agree, keep it raw, and it's just not going to, who knows, it's probably going to be better if I do it or if they do it as opposed to me. But another big question now is engaging, is marketing to students and where to do that and how to do that. And, the ethics behind it, the appropriateness of content. I'd love to sit here and say, well, here are 3 things that you must do. It's an evolving piece to it. For us, there are some of our current school partners that we've encouraged to be on TikTok, or they said we want to advertise on TikTok, and also consulting with them on organic content on TikTok and where students are, and Snapchat as well, YouTube Shorts. Um, you create the content that's going to appeal to those kids, and they're going to find it. They're going to see it. And the older you serve middle and high school, I think the more you do need to focus on that sort of content for them, because they are driving the bus, whether ultimately, well, I shouldn't even say that. I assume that 99 to 100% of the parents are paying for it, but who knows in this day and age with crypto. But 100%, kids are the ones that are driving. I want to apply to these schools and I want to attend these schools. So where are they online? How can you get their attention? And then the other piece of that is they like swag. They like good lunches. So make sure you feed them well when they come for their visit. They're treated well, and they're not sort of treated as, well, we got to put up with this, today with these students visiting and the next day with these students visiting. Those pieces, I've found from feedback from students and from parents too, that a good visit, good lunch, good swag at different points, especially when the acceptances go out, should 100% be a part of your engagement with prospective students.
As a follow-up to the social media content or convo that we're having, Carla in the chat asked, what do you consider high engagement? Is it a percentage of the amount of followers, or should it exceed that?
It's obviously the algorithm is not going to show you all this stuff. According to Facebook, I think I have 5 friends because that's all I ever see. And maybe they are the only ones posting it. Sometimes I'll explore and say, hey, this friend of mine posted some cool stuff, but I never see it. And not that I scrolled all the way down, but Facebook's like, but you don't like that kind of content, so you're not going to comment or like it. So we're just not going to show it to you. Why I would comment on something if somebody asks a question. So I always, as much as possible, encourage schools to post content and then ask a question. Like, here's something that happened in, 2nd grade in Mrs. Smith's class, da, 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 new paragraph. What is your favorite memory from 2nd grade? Like, 2nd grade, who was my teacher? Mrs. Zool was my 2nd grade teacher. Obviously this isn't going to, well, her new last name was Cosby, and it wasn't any relation to the actor. But of course we were like, oh yeah, our 2nd grade teacher is Mrs. Cosby, and she's going to be on the Cosby Show. Of course, that's how playground stuff goes. But that's my favorite memory, and that's something that I would share in there. I wouldn't share it if I wasn't prompted to. Comments equal more people seeing it, equals potential for more followers.
Yeah, and I would just add, this is where having like a good social media management tool can really help you, because if it's good, hopefully doing a lot of the data analytics for you. Like, you don't have time to sit and add up impressions and reach and likes and comments and divide it by to calculate engagement statistics. Like, you can't do that. You need a tool that's going to do that for you. We use one called later.com, which I really like, because to my earlier point about knowing when you've got something kind of hot that you can boost, it actually emails me and says, whoa, you have like a high performing post. And it prompts me to go into my dashboard and look at my analytics. And that's when I go, oh, okay. There's a couple saves on this. A couple people have commented, like, this is starting to build up a little traction. This is when I call, email Sam and I go, what do you think? Like, does this seem like it would be good for a boost? Because not everything is. But I think it's a combination. It's not just likes, I don't think, because I agree. I feel like likes is a kind of low hanging way to engage with a post. I really like to see a deeper level of engagement, people sharing it, the commenting. That to me is more valuable than just the likes. So I think if you can have a tool that helps you track all of that, it would be better.
Absolutely. I have got another question that kind of revolves around social. So, someone in the chat, someone in the room is introducing some spring preview events, one in person and one online. And she's trying to figure out where to put her spend. So search ads have worked well for them in the past. Obviously, people can just click right through. But what's the best way to support search ads on the Instagram platform that isn't just thrown away dollars? Because it doesn't feel as effective with link in my bio, right? Because Instagram doesn't allow you to really put links. So if you guys could talk on that, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll chime in just to say, I think promoting events on social in a way, like I said, that doesn't feel super salesy and overproduced is really hard. So what I've tried to do is kind of entice people with like, what are you going to get at this event? Like we'll make almost like it's a commercial, like a teaser video. And it's maybe like our admissions director saying like, hey, come on down to Peck next weekend. We're having an open house. Here's a couple things you're going to see while you're there. We'd love to meet you. I think that is going to be better than like a graphic post or a GIF or really pretty much like an image, anything else you're going to be able to do. We know video is king. So if you can get someone on screen for 30 seconds, making a call to action, a plea, hey, come to our thing. Here's why. They see that personal, they make that personal connection with like a real person. It feels real. I think that's what I would do, and that's free. And then if you want to boost that, go for it, throw $50 at it. But I think the events are hard because it just feels so like cold and salesy. If you can find a way to personalize it, or like I said, make it a little entertaining, I think you're going to get more eyeballs and engagement on it.
Yeah, I'm quickly trying to like scan through my Facebook to see what the most recent sponsored ads are and say, oh, okay, so I obviously, I'm like not here to find what I'm looking at here, which is a platform we at Truth Tree were looking at for actually to help with social media posts. But I'm now seeing it here, and there's more information available if we did want to come back to it. We didn't end up using it at all. We like to do our stuff on Canva, but if and when it comes time, I know it's a little bit different for them to say, we've now improved this. Here's a new feature of those things. So when it comes to something like an event, they may obviously you want to capture people that have been to that have clicked on the ad to go to that event page, and maybe they didn't see, they saw the date, but I can't make that. Maybe they didn't see, if you can't make it, click here. You may want to have an ad that's on social media like, hey, not able to make, we have this event, but make it evident. Not able to make it, sign up for a personal tour, or alleviate any stress for them not showing, like, oh, I can't make it exactly at 9 o'clock. And if it starts at exactly 9 o'clock, then I don't want to kind of come in late and like be the one that like the door slams in the back of the auditorium and everybody kind of looks back like that's anxiety. Where do I park? I don't know. All of these things. So in like a social post, you're not going to say, are you anxious about coming? But here's here's 3 tips before you come to our open house. It's from 9 to 12, but the reception is from 9 to 9:30 where we'll answer questions. If you can't make it at 9 or 9:30, the tour starts at 10, come anywhere between 9 and 10. Or when you come on campus, we're going to have huge signs that say, park this way. And we'll have people there to usher you exactly where you needed to go. So you're not wandering around campus and security comes over and escorts you where you need to go. So those are kind of ways to any speed bumps for them not to sign up for the event. You can do those through social media. Obviously, direct email marketing too is important, but you don't know their email if they didn't sign up for the event.
Our next question is, where should I be putting my marketing dollars to drive enrollment?
This is where I'm going to say Truth Tree.
Well, and what I would
I did
say,
not tee that up.
intent happens on Google. When you're searching for something, if you're searching for certain things, you're going to go to YouTube. So if I want to DIY how to do something, I'm going to go to YouTube first. Then I may go to Google after that. I want the simplest answer for stuff. But when it comes to searching for schools, they're going to go to Google or their favorite search engine, which 95 out of 100 people is going to be Google. And at that point, if to drive enrollment, you want it based on I'm searching for a school because there's intent. I'm searching for a school so I can read about it, so I can inquire, and then go through the process. Typically for us, depending on the time of year and the type of school, if you have $100 for marketing, I would put 90 behind search, $90 behind search. A lot of schools, it's 50 social, 50 Google, whether it's search or display. Go 90 because you want them to come, and then spend so much time curating that landing page. You want that landing page to be, not all things to all people, but, have 3 or 4 of them. If you can really define that this is a family that's looking for your age 3 to grade 12, and they search for private or preschool near me, and they click on your preschool ad, you want that page to be about preschool, not college acceptance rates and people throwing their graduation cap up in the air. And then from there, based on the actions that they do or don't do, then retarget them with content that, maybe they, did you know that we have financial aid available? Or our preschool program, we are the only school in the area that has a Spanish language in preschool. And that may not appeal to them either, but that's fine. But you don't want anybody clicking on your ad, going to a landing page and saying, this is not the school for me, when it actually is. They just didn't know to find that information. But again, that's where it all starts. It starts on search. And then, make sure that, and the other piece to that is make sure on Private School Review, Great Schools, Niche, School Digger, any of your regional parent online magazines or anywhere, that it's very consistent as to who you are and who you serve. Because again, I see preschool through grade 12. Oh, that's too bad. My child is 3. Well, that school, preschool is 3, because some of them it's 4. I did a whole blog on those things. So those are the big keys. Search, great landing page.
And I think that really speaks well to the top of the funnel. If that's where your concern is, if that's where you need to get the ball rolling to drive enrollment. And then I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to reiterate that as then people are moving through the funnel, if your focus is, okay, I've got a lot of inquiries, I'm not converting them to applicants. That's where I say you need to focus on that lead nurturing. That's where that can really move the needle. We've seen our conversion rate from inquiry to applicant go up 10% since we implemented HubSpot. Like, that's real data. Those are real numbers. We had record high applications this year. Like, my admissions team was drowning. And then again, from admittance, people you're accepting, to them accepting you back and enrolling. That's where, again, these lead nurturing efforts really start to pay off. Great content on social can be repurposed into lead nurturing emails very easily. So you're getting a lot of legs out of content that you're producing. So I would say, depending on where your need is, if you've identified your data and if you have a sense of where the gaps are, I would throw some money behind, again, a lead nurturing tool, because that helps you with those conversions and that yield.
All right, the next question is, what % of a school's marketing budget do you recommend allocating to print versus digital?
I mean, when Trevor and I were discussing the questions that had come in, I said 100% digital in all caps.
You did. I see that.
I did. With the caveat of, I have a very small portion of my budget that I spend on print marketing with local community partners. And by that, I mean, Morristown, New Jersey is like this cute little small city. Like, we can walk to the downtown from campus, and we've got a local theater, and they put on, like, they're going to be doing Beauty and the Beast now in the spring. Yes, we buy a full page ad in the playbill for Beauty and the Beast, not because I actually think it's going to result in one lead. I don't. It was $800, but it's supporting a local business. It's good visibility. Again, is it going to magically convert into something? No. We'll buy a little ad in the Restaurant Week guidebook that, like, the Downtown Association is doing. I think you have to save a couple dollars for those sorts of things. Your local hospitals, gala, your head might want to buy an ad. There's a couple things like that are kind of like costs of doing business, being a good community partner. But otherwise, I go 100% digital, because you're going to get better data tracking on what's working and what's not. And you're able to tweak, make changes. optimize. With print, it's like, well, there's the playbill. Cool.
Yeah, the one thing I would piggyback on that, and it's again, that's knowing that it's not, you're not going to drive enrollment that way. What I have found effective, and when I say effective, it is minimally effective in this day and age overall, but it's been the most effective to drive enrollment. And that is, I sometimes I see schools, oh, we send out a postcard to 10,000 households. I would say send out 10 postcards to 1,500 households that you're sure that data says, like, that these, they are our best fit families. The image that you use, the exact wording that you use on that postcard should be mirrored everywhere online. You're mailing it because you have their address, but you also have their email. So that family's getting 10 postcards on social media between the student or students and the parents. Obviously not the students, but we'll have to log into the parents' account. They're seeing that stuff. If you want to get advanced and start doing stuff on Hulu and other paid channels, they're starting to see the ads for your school on there. I know you're like, whoa, Hulu, we haven't even considered that in the budget to do a commercial. But again, the more inundated they are with your school and your brand, the more likely they are, if they're considering an independent school, looking at you. When I sort of boil things down for our school partners, and to be real with all of them, is, hey, listen, it's not a digital marketing working with Truth Street. There's no magic bullet there. It's smart attention to the right people. And what I want to do is, if they're using a piece of paper, okay, so we've looked at all these schools and we want to apply to these 4 schools. If you're on 50 of those lists, we want you to be on 75 of those lists. For right fit families. Really from there, it's making sure that your journey is awesome, being supported by content that we're pushing out on your behalf to reinforce the awesomeness of your school and as it sort of relates to the different points. So I'd go with Heather, with what you said. If you wanted to take it another step, lots of postcards to a small group of people that balances out with your digital ad campaigns.
I would echo that. If you're going to do any kind of postcards, you have to do a series. Agree. A one-off is trash.
Yeah.
The honesty, I love it.
I mean, I'm
right.
just speaking as I'm not the target demographic for private schools. I do not make enough money, but I have kids the right ages and I'm a working mom who has no time and is stressed. Like, I go through the mail in rapid fire speed. It's like junk, junk, junk. Ooh, bill. Okay. Literally, like that, you've got to get my attention in a millisecond.
Very true. Okay, we're going to do one more question, and I feel like this one is right up your alley, Heather. So, what are some ideas to stay connected or to get connected with alumni from a K-8 school? How do you keep them engaged? How do you stay relevant as they move forward in their journey through life?
Oh boy, yeah, K-8. That's like one of the fun parts of this setup is alums are just not as connected. Like, do you remember where you went to elementary and middle school? Do you stay connected with it? Probably not. Again, in this day and age with people's limited time spans and limited attention and all the things we're dealing with, you have to make it worthwhile for them. And so for me, that's either something fun or something helpful. So invite them back for something fun. Like, we have an annual 8th grade versus alumni like dodgeball game. Like, these are young alums. These are kids in high school or college, but that you want to, if you miss that phase, you're never going to get them back later. So you got to start immediately. Things like that too. Like, when the high schools get out a little bit before we do, we invite the kids to come and like visit their old teachers, like the second to last day before winter break. And then they all stick around for the holiday concert and stuff like that. And there's cookies and iced tea or whatever. When you want to transition into the more helpful phase, panel discussions are great. We'll invite alums back to sit on panels for our current students about what life is like after PEC, things they wish they would have known, things like that. Some schools I've worked at, we haven't done it here, but we'll have helpful things for the alums, like, hey, looking to re-enter the workforce after taking time off to raise your kids, come back for a resume writing workshop at PEC, with our counselors. family fun days, things like that. Any event you're having at campus, you might as well extend that invite to your alums, you know, author luncheons, any sorts of things like that. Any way you can keep them connected. I honestly think because all of us want alum families to then to enroll their own children and become legacy apps, you have to establish that connection immediately upon graduation. Otherwise, they see through it. Like you have to have a genuine relationship with them through all these other things so that hopefully someday it will just be a natural progression for them to say, of course, I'm going to bring my kid now. You know, I've stayed in touch with my school all this time. You know, there's other things too, like when the kids are in high school, we send them a little like care package, like congrats on surviving your first semester. And it's like a Hershey's bar and like a postcard. Like that's like the passive stuff, but getting them back to campus, you just have to be creative and find things. Like every school has its unique traditions and its unique events that those alums are going to be nostalgic about. Invite them back. We have a big field day, I'm sure most schools do, and our big thing is the tug of war. Every grade does a tug of war. And we were like, dude, the alumni need to come back and do the tug of war. Like that's like the big moment. So now we have an alumni versus 8th grade tug of war like moment at field day. And it's really cool.